Hello, students. Children, in this chapter, I have already described you that how William Douglas has suffered through a lot of pain. Pain of fear of water, suffering of going into deep water, pain of being in water for a long time and when there was no help provided to him. Later, somehow, he managed to come out of the water. But with that, the fear which he had has never gone. It resisted with him. The fear was still inside his heart, inside his mind. He grew up with that same fear, with the aversion of water. Whenever he wanted to go near the water, nothing could help him out. And then, few years later, the chapter have been described here now. A few years later, when I came to know the water of cascades, I wanted to get into them. And whenever I did, whether I was wading the Teton or bumping river or bathing in warm lake of the goat rocks, the terror that had seized me in the pool would come back. That means whenever after that William Douglas wanted to go to near the water, after years I'm talking about, that it's after years when now William Douglas has become almost 18 years old, when he really wanted to have fun with water, he wanted to enjoy water bodies. But he says that whenever he tried to do so, the terror always seized him. The terror of being in the pool, the terror which has always terrified him. It would take possession of my complete. My legs would become paralyzed. Icy horror would grab my heart. And then the same kind of incident he has described when he was in the pool. That he feels as his body have become paralyzed. There is no movement on it, and he could not have the confidence of swimming. So the same kind of terror always seized him, and he was unable to come out of the water. He was unable to go and enjoy himself in the water bodies. This handicap stayed with me as the years rolled by. In cannon of many lakes, fishing for landlocked salmon, bass fishing in New Hampshire, trout fishing onto the Cascades and Metolius in Oregon, fishing for salmon on the Columbia, at Bumping Lake into the Cascades. That means he has given the names of so many places where he tried doing fishing, but he could not do as the terror was always making him to be away from the water bodies. Whenever I went, the hunting fear of water followed me. It ruined my fishing trips, deprived me of the joy of canoeing, boating, and swimming. That means whatever the joy he could have of the water, whether it was fishing, boating, which he always loved to, that all stopped. He could not do anything now because the fear of water was making him to be away from all those points. I used every way I know to overcome this fear, but it held me firmly in its grip. Finally, one October, I decided to get an instructor and to learn swimming. I went to a pool and presided 5 days a week, an hour each day. The instructor put a belt around me. A rope attached to the belt went through a pulley that ran on an overhead cable. He held on the end of the rope and we went back and forth across the pool, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. On each trip across the pool, a bit of the panic seized me. Each time the instructor relaxed his hold on the rope and I went under, some of the old terror turned and my legs froze. It was 3 months before the tension began to slack. Then he taught me to put my face under water and exhale, and to raise my nose and inhale. I repeated the exercise hundreds of times, bit by bit. I shed part of the panic that seized me when my head went underwater. That means, after a long trouble, the narrator, William Douglas, decided to appoint an instructor for himself because now he knew that there is no other option. He was unable to learn swimming by any other source. So he decided that he should take the help of an instructor and he told him everything. And the truth worked. The instructor tried to help him in the same manner. He attached a pulley along with the belt and he tied that belt around his waist. And after that, he gave him the confidence that don't worry, you will be safe in my hands. And he started teaching him swimming. And he says that 5 days a week, 1 hour every day, I started learning swimming. But still, for around 3 months, the terror never left him. The terror always seized him whenever he was inside the water. Whenever the instructor tried to leave him inside the water, whenever the instructor tried to give him such a feeling that he is alone in the water, that terror seized him and he could not get the confidence to come out of it. But somehow, after 3 months, he started, he began to think and to have that confidence that yes, even I can learn swimming. And then, after 3 months, a long time, children generally, when you want to learn swimming, when you want to start with swimming, you hardly would going to take 10 to 15 days and you will become a swimmer. But it was not so with the glass because the earlier terrors, the fear of water was always making him helpless, and that is why he took 3 months to come out of his earlier fear. And now, after 3 months, when he was little comfortable with the water, so he has started learning how to inhale, how to exhale inside the water. Next, he held me at the side of the pool and had me kick with my legs. For weeks, I did just that. At first, my legs refused to work, but they gradually relaxed, and finally, I could command them. That means, he says, that it took a lot of time to even start with the movement of the legs and hands to learn swimming. Thus, piece by piece, he built a swimmer. It has a very important and brief description that piece by piece he built a swimmer. That means the time which the instructor has spent with him and the way he has taught him swimming, right from the moment when he tied a belt around his waist till he had made him to learn swimming alone in the pool. He was working hard with him. And when he had perfected each piece, he put them together into an integrated whole. In April, he said, now you can swim, dive off, and swim the length of the pool, crawl stroke. I did. The instructor was finished. Now, it has a very good learning. He says that the instructor was finished. That means the work of the instructor after that day was finished. because whatever he wanted to teach him has already taught. Now it was only the turn of William Douglas to practice himself and to justify, to check himself in the water. But I was not finished. That means it was just a beginning for him. I still wondered if I would be terror stricken when I was alone in the pool. He still had the fear that will I be able to now swim alone? I tried it. I swam the length by and down. Tiny vestiges of the old terror would return. But now I could frown and say that terror trying to scare me, well, there's to you. Look in, off, I'd go to another length of the pool. This went on until July, but I was still not satisfied. I was not sure that old terror had left, so I went to lake. And then he says that I tried as I was not satisfied, and he told us he has given the names of different lakes, different pools, different places where he has gone for swimming. And only the last paragraph now is important, where he wants to say, the experience had a deep meaning for me, as only those who have known stark terror and conquered it can appreciate. In death there is peace, there is terror only in the fear of death. As Rosalvet knew when he said, all we have to fear is fear itself. So he wanted to say that after facing all this, only one thing I want to say, that until unless you do not decide to give up, you will always have the fear, because you have that capacity to learn more, to change. The moment you give up, the moment you decide that now let anything happen, I will not, the moment you stop fearing. I had experienced both the sensation of dying and terror that fear of it can produce. The will to live somehow grew in intensity. And the moment you have that will, that yes, you want to grow, you want to live, you want to learn, intensity to do so also lives in you. At last, I felt released, free to walk in trails and climb the peaks and to brush aside fear. And with this, he was able to throw away his fear forever. Thank you, Chur.